What if I told you you could build a genuinely aesthetic body with just 2 exercises? No complicated routines, no tedious science-based optimization, just dips and pull-ups. Sounds too simple, right? But here's the truth. Some amazing aesthetic bodies can be built with just mastering the basics. When most people think about building an aesthetic physique, they think they have to train like a bodybuilder. Every different exercise, every different variation, incline presses, cable flies, rows, pull downs, you name it. And don't get me wrong, that stuff works. That's how I train most of the time. Personally, I love to train and I find myself doing a lot of variety. But the truth is, it's not actually necessary for most people. If you just want that aesthetic beach body, you can get there with far less than you think. Today we're going to talk about how you can build an aesthetic physique with just 2 exercises, dips and pull-ups. Both dips and pull-ups are compound movements, which means they train a multitude of muscles at the same time. First, let's talk about the pull-up. The king of lat exercises, that V-taper look that you want, that wide back, small waist look, is the direct result of pull-ups. Pull-ups also hit the upper back, the rear delts, and even the biceps. And when you switch up the variations, you can choose where the emphasis actually goes. For example, if you go for the underhanded chin-up, you can actually get a little bit more bicep work. There's also neutral grip, wide grip, close grip, a ton of different variations to try out. Dips, on the other hand, are often referred to as the upper body squat. The chest, shoulders, and triceps all work a ton during the dip. A deep dip done properly places a ton of stretch on the chest, and on the way up, all of those push muscles that I just mentioned will be firing. And if you think about it, between these 2 movements, you are covering pretty much your entire upper body. Sure, you can add some lateral raises for your side delts if you want, or some arm work, but if you're just looking to get in and out of the gym, you can't do much better than the dip pull-up combo. And the beauty of these calisthenics exercises is that they are so easy to progressively overload. You start with your body weight, and when that gets too easy, you really dial in the form, maybe do some pause dips, and then after that gets too easy, you can even start adding weight. And if you're someone who's bulking up, you'll be adding weight naturally, which will make the movement even harder on its own. Just by gaining weight each week, you are progressively overloading the exercise. On the other hand, if you're someone who's starting off on the heavier side, your body weight alone should be enough to get you a great stimulus from these exercises. And look, progression is key. Obviously, you can get a ton out of bodyweight calisthenics, especially the more volume you add, but eventually your body adapts. I would say once you can do 12 to 15 good bodyweight dips or pull-ups, you can probably start adding some weight. Of course, you might even be happy with your body by the time you get to this level. And if that's the case, then that's great. All you have to do is keep up with your exercises and you'll probably even start looking better before you know it. But if you do want to add more muscle, I really think weighted calisthenics is the way to go. Weighted dips and weighted pull-ups are 2 of the most effective upper body builders you can do, period. I would actually attribute a lot of my upper body gains to the weighted dip and the weighted pull-up. In particular, I think the weighted dip is actually responsible for a lot of my chest gains. Whatever it is, the exercise just works for my chest even more so than the bench press. Whenever I do them, I get a huge chest pump, the stretch feels great, and it just works. One thing I'll say is be sure to record yourself every once in a while to make sure your form is actually good. Back when I first started, I was a little too eager to add weight, and I started adding weight really quickly, and I was doing some of the most ugly quarter reps you could possibly imagine. Was it completely optimal? Definitely not, but eventually I locked in the form and we're a-okay now. As with any exercise, your form will get better as you go on. Now with only 2 exercises, programming really couldn't be any simpler. It's all about how often you want to work out. If you want to train your upper body twice a week, simply just do dips and pull-ups once every 3 to 4 days. Volume really depends on your training experience. If you're just starting out, 3 to 4 sets of each twice a week should be fine. The more advanced you get, the more volume you may want to add. You could even throw in multiple variations in the same workout. For example, you could end up doing wide grip pull-ups to start off and then move on to neutral grip pull-ups. As far as rep ranges go, personally I like to start off with 1 to 2 heavy sets going for around 3 to 5 reps and then pulling some weight off and then doing 2 back off sets for 8+ reps. Again, if you're just starting out, your body weight is probably more than enough, so really the rep range should just be as many as you can do. Then, once you can get to multiple sets of 10+ clean reps with your body weight, you can start to add weight. And if you can't even do body weight reps, they do have assisted machines at most gyms. You can even start with some easier calisthenics exercises to build up your strength before moving on to dips and pull-ups. So examples would be something like push-ups before you move on to dips, and inverted rows before you move on to the pull-ups. Now let's talk about some muscles that you might miss if you're only doing dips and pull-ups, because obviously a workout with only 2 exercises isn't going to be maximally efficient for everything in the upper body. I would say the big ones are the side delts, the arms, and the upper traps. Your arms do get hit a decent amount with these exercises. You know, the triceps take on a lot during the dip. You can get some bicep work if you do some chin-ups, but it's not completely optimal. Obviously, you would want to isolate your arms if you want big arms. The side delts and the upper traps could use some isolation as well. But this video was mainly for those of you who don't want to live in the gym. You can really build an aesthetic physique with just the dips and the pull-ups. If you just want a nice aesthetic physique that'll have you looking great compared to most people, the dips and the pull-ups are really your best bang for your buck when it comes to upper body training. Now if you would like to put more effort into those other body parts that I mentioned, like your arms or your shoulders, I do have videos about those as well. Be sure to check them out.